Foundation Radio is brought to you today by the 10th Ward Barbershop, a full-service barbershop offering high-quality haircuts, beard trims, and hot shaves. 10th Ward Barbershop proudly serves the historic Lawrenceville, 10th Ward, and surrounding Pittsburgh areas. I frequent the 10th Ward Barbershop when I swing through the area, and I love Ryan Kane's laser-sharp precision on both my hair and my beard. But you don't have to take my word for it. WWE superstars Finn Balor and Corey Graves frequent 10th Ward Barbershop for their hair and beard needs. The team at 10th Ward accepts walk-ins, and they're fully staffed, but schedules fill up quickly. So the best way to see them is to make an appointment at 10thwardbarbershop.com. That's 10th Ward Barbershop.com. And while you're there, make sure you stop and pick up some Silk Panther hair products to keep that hair looking fresh. Schedule your appointment today to see Kane, Jordan, and the rest of the team at 10th Ward Barbershop, and we thank them for sponsoring the program.
Peace world and welcome to a special episode of Foundation Radio. My name is Adam Barnard. Thank you so much for joining me today. My guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. He is an original member of the Four Horsemen. He is a WWE Hall of Famer. Arn Anderson, how are you, sir? Thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, Adam. I appreciate it. I think this is our first time speaking on the air, is it not?
It is. This is our first time together, yeah. So very excited to have you.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
I appreciate that, sir. I want to jump right into this real fast. I want to talk about your graphic novel that came out recently, My Life as the Enforcer. Tell me, what was your favorite part about creating that book and seeing the vision of it come to life?
Well, I was asked, I did a book years ago, I guess you could say decades ago, one other book. And after that, over the years, I heard from different people, when are you going to do a part two? You know, you've had a lot more to tell. Your story has went on and took some turns that people might be, interested in. And I just never thought of a book about me. And then it went from there to a comic book. And if you picture comic book hero, this is not what comes to mind, I don't think. This is somebody's grandfather that might have got lost going to the bathroom at a baseball game or something. I don't know, but superhero, maybe not. But I met with Dirk and his company and Dirk Manning, and he's the same guy that did Shivani's graphic novel, and so we put it together, and I just wanted to put some things in there that people might be a little shocked on. There's some parts in there that are, pretty nasty. And as far as, kids having to deal with less than spectacular home lives. And I thought if I could get that in there, which is part of my life, and everybody might not be sitting home thinking I'm alone in this situation. I don't know what to do to get out. So if that helps somebody, great.
Yeah. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to as someone who comes from that environment as well. It's wonderful to see that it is possible to escape and it is possible to live a life that you really enjoy. And I think that's really the message I got from the book in total. Were there any stories that you wish could have been in the book, or maybe something that was there that didn't exactly make the cut? Was there anything that you had to leave on the cutting room floor? You're like, oh man, in hindsight, I really would have wished I pushed for that to get back in there.
I wouldn't be the right guy to judge that. I really don't know what people want to know. And, the one thing I was able to do is, I quit wrestling in 97 when I had my surgery. And I've been fortunate enough to be still in the business in some capacity, whether it be an agent or producer, whatever you want to call them, and doing AEW and doing some independence now with my son, Brock. So I've had a second career, and I've been very, very fortunate with that. Now my goal, with whatever time I have left on earth, and it can't be much. I mean, look at the picture here. My God, can't be around too much longer. But whatever time I have, I want to get Brock acclimated to the business and get him settled in. And he's a good kid. He's a smart kid. He has nothing but respect for the business because I demanded that out of him. And I think he's going to be a success. His partner CW is such a huge help as far as a veteran helping a kid along. But anyway, there's a chance that, who knows, down the road, if it'll accommodate it, maybe there's a part 3.
Hey, I would love to read it. And listen, listen, you still look great, by the way, sir. You still look like you can kick some ass and take names. So I just want to let you know off the top there. So no, I'm like I said, if there is the opportunity for a part 3, I know I would love to hear it. I know just researching this, I mean, you just had such an illustrious career and an even what a very incredible life. And I really had to sit and think about, really craft some solid questions here on what I wanted to ask, but just an incredible book. Please go out of your way to check it out. It's available everywhere now. It's called My Life as the Enforcer. Really just an incredible read. You brought up your son, Brock, and I want to talk to you about that a little bit as well. You were a part of his in-ring debut when you were with AEW. What did that mean for you, not just as, someone who is really revered in the industry, but also as a father, to be able to see that come to fruition? What did that mean for you?
Well, thanks to Tony Khan for giving him his start, and appreciate it. At the time, I thought it's too soon. He hasn't had enough experience off television and the smaller venues and, just wrestling school where he was trained. I felt like he needed more of that, but Tony was the boss. He said, well, let's debut him tonight. And that happened just like that one afternoon. Had no knowledge of it. CODY comes to me. He says, Tony wants to talk to you. You got a minute? Yeah. He said, go there. He goes, want to debut Brock tonight. Well, what do you say? No. I mean, are you kidding me? We already owe him for providing an alternative in the wrestling industry. What I'm going to say no to the guy? I never told Brock, I don't want you in the business. I never told Brock, I want you in the business. He came up to me when he was in high school and he said, Dad, what would you think about me wrestling? I said, well, why are you bringing that up now? You're in high school. He said, I don't know. I've just been watching. So he had been in his room watching some stuff on his own, making his own decisions about what he liked and what he didn't like and what he thought was good. And could he possibly do this and all this? And I said, well, you got high school to go, and I want you to get a college education. I want you to get a degree. And when you get that degree so that you have a way to make a living, it's a computer age. You about have to have all that computer stuff to even function in this world. Then we'll talk. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay. And we didn't talk about it anymore. He went to a couple of shows, WrestleMania week and some stuff with me, but when he went to college, he was involved in the college stuff more than anything. He wasn't hounding me about it. I knew Adam, if he got in the ring once and he got that feel that we all do, once you get in there and see it from the inside out, I'd never get him to go back to college. He'd say, piss on that, I'm doing this. So I wouldn't let him get around the ring until he graduated. And then he said, okay, when we're getting started, and we joined Lodi's school, which is about 15 minutes from here, which is so convenient.
Now, I know that he's going to be, when you're listening to this, it'll actually be tomorrow, but he's going to be making his debut for MLW at Slaughterhouse. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that and his debut that's happening.
I'm excited about it. They have been very gracious with us so far. I will not be there. It'll be Brock and CW, and probably launching something in the tag team division, I would hope. And it's the first big step, him going somewhere without me. And I've been at pretty much everything that he's been, just to help if I could, and help the local promoter if I could, and lend whatever star power I might have and put a few butts in seats. Who knows? I don't know if anybody wants to see my old ass or not.
Hey,
But
listen, I'll get to that in just a second because I was there at SummerSlam. I heard the pop. But go ahead. I apologize.
oh, okay, you busted me, did you? Oh,
I did. Sorry.
so I'm looking forward to see what they do, and it's going to give them some more experience and get Brock out there a lot more and get his name out there. You know, being an Anderson's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
And he knows the responsibility that he has going forward to take that legacy and build on it, not depend on it. So we're looking forward to that. I want to plug AML Wrestling. They have been, it's through the Carolinas mostly, and they have been awesome to us. They've been great. It's been one consistent show at least a month that we can plan on, and they have some great talent that come in and out of there. You know, Dolph Ziggler was there, but you know, Bubba Dudley was just there on this past Sunday in Salisbury, North Carolina. So, you know, these small promotions, man, we need to support them all we can, because for a lot of guys, that's the only opportunity they have to get any reps and get better. You know, there aren't a lot of territories as they used to be where you could wrestle, you know, 6 days a week, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you've referred to that time, especially with Jim Crockett Promotions, as kind of the golden era of wrestling back, you know, in the mid to, or I guess early 80s, mid to late 80s as well. And I wanted to ask you a question about Magnum T.A. I know that, you know, there's the legendary, you know, battles between, you know, the Horsemen and Magnum T.A. and Ric Flair. It felt like Magnum had like a really fast moving machine behind him until, you know, the unfortunate accident happened. When you're in that space, when you're there and you're performing and you're in front of the crowd, can you feel that momentum as it's happening? Or is it one of those types of situations where you look back on it and go, oh, wow, this was really taking off a lot faster than we thought?
You could feel it with him. You know, there are some guys when you're in the moment, the Rock and Roll Express, Dusty, you know, you take those guys, you know, the Road Warriors and whatever, and you could see the reaction was equally as strong to all of them, but in different ways. It's like when the Road Warriors came down the aisle, it was guys 20 years old hitting each other in the ribs. Watch this. These guys are going to kill these guys. Rock and Roll Express's music would hit. The teeny boppers would go ballistic, those little high-pitched voices. Magnum appealed to everybody. He looked like a movie star. He looked like Magnum, you know, PI or whatever the deal was. And I could see him getting better each time he went to the ring. And, you know, he's wrestling Tully Blanchard. He's wrestling Arn Anderson. He's wrestling, you know, the Russians, the Midnight Express, and all these guys that can make Magnum better as he makes us better, you know, and you just knew that something big was on the horizon for him, that he was going to be, you know, when Dusty was done, he would probably step into that role as the lead babyface.
Yeah. Now, I know, you know, in my research, there was definitely talk about, you know, Magnum being the next guy, but was there ever talk about Arn Anderson potentially being that, you know, big foil to Magnum T.A. in his run? Was there ever that conversation that took place?
No, sir. You know, and people ask me, you know, well, were you disappointed that you were never world champion? And, you know, and featured, you know, as the guy. There are some guys that you need in a crew that can have a great match with anybody, or at least a passable to good match with guys that need the help. And then you can have a phenomenal match with other guys. I wasn't a guy that you looked at that walked in the room where everybody went, who the hell is that? Even if I don't know who if I don't know who that guy is, I know he's somebody. I didn't have that look, that marketable 6'6", great body, tanned, great head of hair. My worth, I feel like, started once the bell rang and I made a guy work his ass off for everything that he got in the ring. And I earned my respect by being that guy. And I didn't even have to win the match. But if I went out, you know, that's what I hear a lot, you know, from different fans that were there in the area. They said, man, two things. When you picked up a mic, we listened and we believed what you said. And then you went out and you kicked ass.
Yeah.
And I would try to throw in, yeah, but I never did beat anybody. And they would say, oh, bullshit, you kicked the shit out of everybody. That's what they remember. It's not important that I won,
No.
you know, and I was just testing the waters to see what their opinion was of that. And having a career that was in, when you're with Tully Blanchard and Ric Flair and Ole Anderson and J.J. Dillon, man, when you're standing there in that picture and you're looking at that and I was a rookie, I hadn't been in the business but a couple of years when I went to Crockett. And when you're looking at that monitor or you're looking at that TV camera or just looking at that group, it's a pretty humbling experience. Can you imagine? And these guys were at their peak, at their best.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hell of an accomplishment. I mean, that's a murderer's row of professional wrestlers. I mean, that is, I mean, honestly, it could potentially be a lot of people's like official Mount Rushmores, if you will. I'm not a kind of person that likes to ask folks about their Mount Rushmores, but in reality, it's like, this is a group of guys that set the tone and the tenor for the remainder of professional wrestling, kind of set us on the course that we are today. And I think it's, that's gotta be an amazing feeling looking back on that. It's just humbling,
Well, it's amazing that now in 2024, you do this and they do it back to you, or they do it to you first and you do it back to them, and they know exactly what, that means. And the fact that it still means something this far along, it's amazing. It's a blessing. And I feel it was because we were wrestling every single day. And if we came to your town, man, we gave you all we had, and we busted our ass. Nobody tanked any matches on the Jim Crockett cards. That's for sure.
I remember you talked about coming in and kicking ass and taking names. I remember my very first knowledge of you when I've been a wrestling fan for as long as I can remember. My very first memory of you was Tully Blanchard in the WWF as you guys as the tag team champions, as the Brainbusters. And I remember just being like, holy shit, this Arn Anderson guy is terrifying. Just I was just like, oh my God, this guy, he looks like somebody that you would walk by that would kick your ass in public. And I just remember having that feeling, and just, for forever through the, the rest of your career, I remember being like, that's the kind of guy you don't want to mess with, So if that was the goal, man, mission accomplished. Cause that was, you were just phenomenal and everything, that
well, thank you. What's so funny about that is I could put on my street clothes, put on my glasses, which I had to have to see, by the way, to drive and everything else. And I could walk through the crowd, and if I was noticed, okay, it spread. But if not, I could have very well been sixth grade teacher,
Right.
And it's like, then I would put on my gear and go through the curtain, and I was the other guy. I was, Arn Anderson. But most people would not, if I was walking in a crowd, leaving the arena, if I didn't have my bags in my hand, but if I was in street clothes, I just fit in. And I think maybe that was that disguise. It was me switching into the Batman suit when it was scuffle time,
Yep. Yeah. Clark, legitimately Clark Kent with the glasses. Oh, that's not Arn Anderson. He's wearing glasses. That can't be him. Yeah. So no, that's amazing. And I want to kind of double back to something that we mentioned before, as far as, people still, I guess, in your words, still caring and knowing who the Four Horsemen are. Your return at, your appearance at this year's SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes before the main event. I know that I listened to the show, which you are the co-host of the Arn Show on One True Sport with good friend Paul Bromwell. Please make sure you go out of your way to check it out. I'm actually a part of that network as well with the Blue Meanie. The Mind of the Meanie is now on that group as well. So we're honored to be a part of the team with you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. And I know I listened to the episode that you talked about it, and you referred to the experience as heartwarming. Now, I was in the stands, and the first thing I did was throw up the fours when you came on the screen. And I knew right away, I was like, I popped, and then I heard the response from the crowd. And I was like, wow, this is a really big moment. This is a really big, impactful moment. I don't think necessarily not just for Cody Rhodes and his trajectory as, the world, the undisputed champion, but also for you in your career to come back to WWE and still, be this beloved figure. What was it like to hear that love from the folks that were there, from the WWE universe in general? What was that like for you?
I couldn't hear it.
Really?
Backstage, I could not hear it. But Brock heard it. But now keep in mind, I'm about deaf.
Oh, okay.
In both ears too. But it was, I'm wondering what I was wondering, because the way we had it set up, it was a surprise, because it's just a guy making his, way to the ring backstage. It didn't reek of a setup where you walked up on a lit set or anything like that. It literally looked like I was just hanging out and blindsided him. And
Right.
I think the shock, what was the fans? Did they know initially it was me?
As they got closer to you, like I know that when they did the big pan to you, obviously, because I'm a fan, like I recognized you right away. I think my exact words were, "Holy shit, that's Arn Anderson." But as they got closer to you, the crowd just, I mean, you could hear it. It just like enveloped the entire space. And I think they realized, like, it took maybe a second for people to realize that, oh, that really is Arn, And so it was this really cool moment to kind of watch it cascade across the crowd and people realize that you were there.
Damn it, I wish I could have been sitting in the crowd. I'll take it.
Hey, it was great.
This is something that you'll appreciate. And because I could see, how learned you are about the business and how much you follow it, but the important stuff.
Yep.
In as much as anything, CODY and I had, when he brought me to AEW, we had an incredible run there for a little bit. And we did some stuff that was out of bounds. Me burning his clothes in a trash can is not normal stuff. Threatening to shoot him in the head probably was not the best idea. But with the history I had with Dusty and then Dustin and then the CODY and the position he was in, and when he left, people, when it took a few weeks for people to realize, he's really gone.
Yeah.
People would say, are you and CODY ever going to get back together? And then it went to less and less, and then it died out. But I think enough people enjoyed that few months that we had together, and they remembered it. And the one thing that we talk about when young guys, ask me for advice and all that, I said, be a storyteller.
Yep.
Tell a story. They immediately clicked back in when I walked up on CODY to the story from AEW. I feel like,
yes,
and that's the feedback. And it's like, man, you talking. I think one guy, I forget who it was, one of the fans, in one of the comments wrote, "Now that's long-term storytelling."
Yep.
Then it's somehow, some way, somebody was brilliant enough to fast forward this all the way from where it started with AEW 5 years ago to now. I should say that's long term.
Absolutely.
But that's what fans like me and you and other pure wrestling fans like. They like stories.
Yep.
And I think the idea was they're gonna fire this thing back up, and people enjoy that. It's the athleticism of all the young guys and girls. I come in, they're just incredible athletes doing athletic stuff that's beyond my wildest dreams. But the one thing that is missing on a long-term scale are storytelling, just getting a piece of the puzzle each week, and you got to wait till next week to get the next piece.
Yep.
That's what I think sells a lot of tickets. It's a soap opera.
And that's why I think for me too, like even just, as someone who's been, a long time wrestling fan, like I said, I've been a fan since probably I was 4 or 5, or as long as I can remember. Right. And for me, when the story kind of began again in WWE with CODY, you can trace this story all the way back to the territory days with Dusty and you and Rick and everybody else. I mean, you're talking about a long-term story about Dusty Rhodes and the Rhodes family and the Four Horsemen, right? Like all of these parts and components mean something to his elevation to, CODY's elevation eventually to the top guy. And I think for me, and as a wrestling fan and somebody who's, I'm a history guy, I'm a writer, I love stories and analysis and things like that. For me, watching all of these payoffs and then seeing you come in, like I had that same thought, like they're paying this off. They're literally bringing this right back to where we were, where it started in AEW 5 years ago, but they're also paying homage to these things that happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you know, and the legacy of Dusty and the legacy of Arn Anderson. And I think for me, that's as good as it gets, right? Like, I don't think there's anything better.
Yeah. I mean, there's a clip floating around somewhere. If you remember when it was with WWE, Cody and Dustin won the tag belts from the Shield. Mm-hmm. I was the agent for that match. And when they were coming up the ramp, it just felt like, because, you know, I'd promised Dusty that I would take care of Cody. Mm-hmm. You know, he just, when Cody first started, he said, "Double A, you're gonna be on the road with him. Please look after the kid. He got something, but he needs to be, you know, he needs to be reeled in." I said, "I got him, Dust. You did it for me. I'll do it for Dustin, and I'll do it for Cody." Yeah. But there's a clip of me coming out of Gorilla and just hugging him on top of the stage, you know, which was not something that was planned. It was not something that was, "Arn, get out there." You know, there was nothing. It was just something I wanted to do. I might could have got in trouble for that, but I didn't really care at the time. So
would have been worth it, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. It was very real, very real.
Yeah.
And you're right. There are these pieces, you know, throughout history that, forgot how many years from when Cody first started WWE. I mean, it goes back that far. There's these little, you know, there's these little pieces laying around of the Rhodes and the Andersons. And he has done a great job. He made the right move. You know, he was asking me during that time, you know, what did I think? What did I think? Da, 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 da. And I would not commit, because the selfishness in me said, stay with AEW, because that's where me and Brock are. We want you here. But I never voiced that to him. And after he left, people were asking me, what did I think about it? And this is my only answer, and I think it's the right one. In this business, talent swaps companies all the time. Mm-hmm. And when you make a switch from one company to the other, if it's for the benefit and the good of your family, then it can't be the wrong decision. Can't be.
And that's the only answer, really. I mean, that's if it's going to benefit them and their family at the end of the day, like that's who you're coming home to, right? That's who's most important. If it's going to do all those, make those benefits better for you and them, it's not a question. And I 100% agree.
It's the right move.
Yep.
And now, you know, he's kicking ass, you know, very proud of him. He's doing an amazing job. It's not like everything. I was in the crowd for WrestleMania 40 as well. It was an emotional moment. I had my son with me as well. So just being able to pass down those stories, talking about the Dusty Rhodes connection, you know, like it's just all of these wonderful moments. And now it's kind of this generational thing we have now, which is amazing. I have to ask, you know, because you were there, is it possible that we're going to see any more of the Enforcer with Cody or WWE going forward in the future? You never say never. You know, they really treated Brock and I so well. You know, they flew us in, you know, they put us up at the Westin. They had somebody picking us up for all the places we needed to go. And the treatment was first class, you know. And the main thing that I saw that I was so happy with when I left there, it was, you know, it's stressful doing Raw and SmackDown every week. It's a lot of stress with that company. Live TV is tough, you know, and there was a lot of pressure. And when I left, it's probably a good thing. I was probably on the verge of having a friggin' stroke or a meltdown or something. It's just so much pressure. But when I got out of the car that they had car service for me, I started seeing people who didn't know I was there backstage. We came in a ramp in the back of the building, and they looked at me like, "What are you doing here?" But it was a smile on everyone's face, and everyone was hugging my neck, and I was hugging their neck back. Like I saw Cody first, and I saw the Undertaker, then I saw Randy Orton. You know, these are all people that I was there for their growth and everything, and it was a different atmosphere. Everybody was smiling. Everybody was happy. And it was a different company. So kudos to whatever changes Hunter and company that have made this the atmosphere that it is. Will I do anything back with him? I don't know. As far as Brock goes, I think we need to get him some more experience on smaller venues, untelevised shows, and get him in a position that he can help any company that he goes to work for. And I have no doubt that he will, that he can be an asset to that company, which is the main thing. And he's going to need a little more experience before anything like that happens. But I mean, obviously it's the number one company, who wouldn't be honored or flattered to be doing anything, a cameo or anything with those guys. So we'll see.
I'm excited to see what happens for both you and Brock. I'm looking forward to his debut at Slaughterhouse with MLW tomorrow. One question before we get into the One True Sports stuff here. I wanted to ask you, you received the Frank Gotch Award this year at the George Tragos and Lou Thez Professional Hall of Fame. You were the recipient of that award this year. Tell me what that means to you and your career to be honored with such a prestigious award.
Well, I mean, I was not a great amateur wrestler, and it's pretty humbling to be walking those halls with all those old timers that were. I mean, when you got some of the guys that are coaching to this day with the arms all bent, the palms down, you know what I mean? Just you look at them and that's a beast, that's a monster. Yeah. Cauliflowered ears. And to somehow be in the same sentence with some of those guys and being honored in that's their world, their venue, and it is such a humbling thing, and it's such a platform. And Jerry Briscoe, who I was good friends with WWE, is the one that put it together. Thank you, Jerry. It was such an honor. And besides, again, first class treatment all the way. I took Aaron and took Brock with me, who obviously put me in, and to hear the words that my son said, it's all I could do to keep from losing it. You don't get positions like that very often. And he didn't ask me what I thought he should say. I just said, if you'd like to do this, I would be honored. If you'd rather just sit down and enjoy the show, I'm fine with that too. And he said, no, I'll do it. He said, it's understated. No, I'll do it. Well, don't get all bent out of shape about it, for God's sakes.
Yeah, calm down a little bit. It's fine. Everything will be good. Yeah, don't get too excited. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just who he is, though. And he said, that college education, I guess, paid off. He can speak in front of a crowd a little bit.
There you go.
He's not going to get overboard with putting me in the Hall of Fame. But
well, listen, he learned that from his dad too, standing in front of a crowd talking to thousands of people. That's not a natural thing, that's not something that's natural.
Well, he learned one thing I could tell. I said, son, when you're doing promos, don't do mine, do yours. And remember one thing, here's the key to this. Don't talk at them, talk to them, and they will listen to you.
Yep. That's the best advice I was given in this position too, doing these shows is to talk. You got to talk to you. That's what we're here. We're having a conversation, and that's the best promo that you can give. Now, the last question I have for you, I could talk to you all day, sir. This has been an absolute honor and privilege to talk to you. But I wanted to talk to you about the Arn Show, the show you do with Paul Bromwell on One True Sport. Love that show. I catch it as often as I can. It's wonderful. Tell me about being a part of the One True Sport team and what how excited you are to be able to have that platform to talk, about your career, about your opinions on things, and about, the state of professional wrestling in general.
It's new to me, and now we've been doing it a couple of years now, but this version we want to be a little bit updated. We want our merchandise to be one little step as far as quality, one little bit better than what we had before. The guys that are just like yourself that are part of our network, we want to give them a platform to not to have to serve any masters. Just say what you think. It's your show. Do what you want. For me, I got really burnt out when I first started with the podcast because I had no experience or anything, and we were basically just running my career down. And we got into that period of 19 years when I was with WWE, and I was just going back and critiquing matches and stuff. And I went, man, this is getting old. You know, I don't think people want to hear about my career as a agent doing John Cena's matches as much. Now there's a niche for that, but
sure.
Let's don't beat it to death. Let's hear about the glory years when we were Led Zeppelin touring the world, and my wrestling career, which I hope was a little more impactful. But we worked every single day. And I never had an opportunity because we didn't do meet and greets back then. If we wouldn't have done it anyway, because we're heels, and that would be contradictory to, whatever. So it was like a catch-22. But then when I got to start doing the podcast and the profile went up a little bit, I think people didn't realize there was me and then there's Arn Anderson. But Arn Anderson is kind of half and half. Arn Anderson and Marty Lundy.
Right.
He's both guys. And there's some interest in that, I think, because a lot of my life, a lot of the things that I did were same stuff people were doing in the real world. So it gave me an opportunity to do some of these Comic-Cons, and here's where they become a blessing, is now the people get to be 2 feet away. I get to shake their hand, hug their neck, throw the TV title up on their shoulder, take a picture with them, spend a couple, 3 minutes, and make that experience something special. And just for me, I get a chance to, no matter who it is, just because they first thing they say is, hey, where's Ole? And then they go, this is before he passed. And then they would, say, thank you for being part of my childhood. And I get to turn around and go, well, listen, guys, I've been in this business 42 years, and without y'all, I wouldn't have had this. Everything my family has, we owe to you. And I've never had an opportunity to say that. Now I get a chance to say it. So it serves a lot of masters.
That's amazing. And I like I said, I had the opportunity to meet you in person in Cleveland, got a chance to shake your hand and say hello. And just to be able to do this and talk to you about your career and what you have going on, it's just amazing. So I want you all, as you're listening to this, I encourage you to go check out One True Sport. You can listen to all the podcasts on the network. Magnum T.A is a part of it. Mind of the Meanie is there as well. Arn Anderson Show is there, the Arn Show. Please go and check it out. Pick up some of the merchandise as well too. Quality is fantastic. I actually really dig that shirt you're wearing right now, sir. It might be my next purchase coming up. So I'll be happy to, help support the team there. And
we appreciate it. It looks good, huh?
It does. It looks great. I love the design. You know what I mean? Like the name, it's got that old, like, I don't know, the 1980s feel where it's like, that's the badass looking shirt, right? Like that's exactly
something a guy would wear, right? Something
exactly.
And we were
something that I would wear.
Yeah. When we were designing it, so my fans are 25 to 65. Give them something. As far as my merch goes, something that they wouldn't be ashamed to wear, that they're okay wearing.
Absolutely right.
So thank you.
Of course, absolutely. Rep the enforcer the way that the enforcer should be repped. And I think that's what I look at that shirt, that's what I think. Arn Anderson, I want to thank you so much for your time today, sir, and being a part of the show, coming on and having this conversation with me. Like I said, you go and check out the Arn Show, OneTrueSportTV.com. You can also go to their YouTube channel right now and subscribe and check out the episodes and everything they have going on right there. So Arn, I want to thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here.
Adam, you're a real pro. I'm impressed. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you, sir.
Well, let's do it again sometime.
I would love that. Absolutely.
Foundation Radio is hosted, recorded, and produced by Adam Barnard. Additional narration and production is provided by the executive voice, Sam Krebs. Our mixing and engineering was done by Carl Pinnell. Our intro and outro music is performed by Dumb Ugly. Additional musical accompaniment is performed and produced by Enrichment. Our cover art photography was done by Dylan Enninger. Follow Adam on Instagram and Twitter, or X or whatever, at This Is Goober, and follow the show on Twitter, again, not calling it X, at FND Radio Pod. Find the entire show archive at foundationradio.net. This has been a Butts Carlton Media production, Butts Carlton, proprietor.
That doesn't work for me, brother. Peace, Carl!